Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Translation Studies and Training, SOTST. Master of Arts, Translation Studies, Maths, English. Second year. MTT 018 Translation and Intercultural Studies. Block 1 Intercultural Communication. Unit 2 Intracultural and Intercultural Communication. Objectives. After reading this unit, you will be able to understand what intracultural and intercultural communication is, explain the characteristics of culture, understand the barriers in intracultural and intercultural communication, identify the need to understand culture for the purpose of translation, and correlate the importance of understanding culture and communication in the process of translation. 2.1 Introduction. We have already discussed the terms culture and communication at length in the previous unit. To refresh the memory, we shall once again briefly discuss the concepts of culture and communication and then proceed further to dwell upon intracultural communication and intercultural communication. 2.2 Intracultural communication and its barriers. The term intracultural communication refers to communication or dialogue that takes place within one culture. Culture is not homogeneous. A person is shaped by his culture. Within each culture, there develops another form of culture which is represented by that person because culture is not the only influencing factor. There are other factors such as economic class, education, profession, upbringing, etc. In the process, another variation in the parent culture takes shape in form of that particular person and his family, which again is influenced by other factors which keep changing with the changing times. Therefore, communication between people of the same culture may also face some barriers. And surprisingly, these barriers are almost the same as take place in intercultural communication. India, being a multicultural society, can understand these barriers better. These barriers can roughly be described as following. Language. Though, in intracultural communication, the dialogue takes place in the same language, yet the usage of language depends on the social, economic environment of a person too. For example, a Punjabi from Jalandhar and a Punjabi of the same caste but from Delhi will use Punjabi language differently. Their language will have local references and vocabulary which can be difficult for both to understand without first explaining. The pronunciation may also differ. In the same manner, a Brahman from Lucknow and a Brahman from Kanpur will use Hindi differently. Their accent, their vocabulary, and pronunciation may be completely different. Because each carries his own environment and grooming within himself, and if we have to understand that person, we will first have to understand that. For example, a middle class Hindu from Uttar Pradesh settled in Delhi will have difficulty in understanding the word kantap in Hindi, but a middle class Hindu settled in Lucknow will immediately understand the word, which means a slap on cheek. Plenty of examples can be given. In the context of using one language differently, if people of same culture gather together to have a discussion or celebrate a ritual, the variations in language can very well be noticed. One such example is that of Durga Puja, when all Bengalis collect together in various pandals to celebrate the puja. Various nuances can be noticed in one language that they are using Bangla. Nonverbal communication. The language of human body has been a subject of research for a very long time now, and in this area too, language of each human body differs, no matter whether he she belongs to the same Culture or not. Broadly saying, some prominent gestures may remain the same but some minute. Gestures may differ the way one looks, sits, stands, or hand movements while chatting may be different in different people of the same culture. For example, the manner in which table is laid for lunch may be the same in one culture, but how people of the same culture eat can be entirely different depending on their home environment and the grooming they have received at their homes. Hence, if we want to understand a person's body language, gestures, and eye movements, we can't solely depend on the culture he belongs to. Instead, we will have to understand almost the entire environment that person comes from. Perception. Perception is a process of observing, selecting, absorbing, and organizing the information that we receive from the outside world. Hence, our understanding of the world depends on how we look at the world around us, notice things, respond, and reflect on them. This cannot be the same in any two persons, even if they belong to the same culture, because the way they see the outside world again depends on their instinct, their surroundings, and the natural and human made environment around them. Therefore, it becomes essential to know a little about a person's environment to understand the context of his conversation and viewpoint. Although the way we perceive the world, be it as small as the food we are eating or a tourist place we are visiting, is a part of our cultural experience, but that experience need not be the same for everyone even if we belong to the same culture. Beliefs. Beliefs are judgments that we make about what we think is true or probable. They are formed about things or events that usually have some characteristics which we believe are true with or without proof. It can be religion, there is only one God, or event, the meeting was successful, or a person, she was very friendly to talk to. Most of our beliefs are also concerned with things or phenomena that are unpredictable, indiscernible, and inexplicable, like death, romance, love, weather, etc. Such beliefs are often the same in one culture, but individuals also develop their set of beliefs with their own experiences. For example, it is not necessary that two persons have the same beliefs regarding death or love. They may not even have the same judgment about their formal meeting with another person. One may think that the person they met was too overbearing, while the other may say that the person was very friendly. Therefore, even when we know a culture and its beliefs broadly, it's not necessary that we become familiar with the beliefs of a person or of a family of that culture. For that, it again becomes imperative to know them a little on personal basis. Rituals. Rituals are a way to perform or express religious beliefs which are very similar in one culture. On a collective level, people belonging to one culture are supposed to have one set of rituals for example of performing marriage or last rites or a particular puja. But families also develop their own rituals. Even individuals develop their own rituals. Let's take example of the popular Karwa Chauth puja in North India. Broadly saying, the Punjabis have a particular way of observing the fast and then performing the puja. But each family, with the passage of time and its own experience, develops its own rituals as well. And it is a way of saying in our society, see, it is usually done this way, but we do it in a slightly different manner. We can further elaborate it with an example of marriage rites performed, let's say, in Rajput community in Uttaranchal, India. Now we have subcastes and various economic classes in the same community. These variations bring about changes in the marriage rights of families in the same community. Because even families too develop their own customs over a period of time. 2.2 1. Intracultural communication and translation. It is difficult to understand a multicultural society, primarily because there are huge differences in beliefs, lifestyle, rituals, language, customs, etc. But there is a thread of oneness that binds such a society together. In the process of translating such a piece that requires detailed understanding of a culture, one not only needs to study that culture but also to comprehend that common thread which binds it with other similar coexisting cultures which may have cast an influence on the particular culture. For example, if we are translating a Hindi work centered on Lucknow, in Uttar Pradesh, we need to know the culture of that particular class in Kanpur or Faizabad also. If we are translating a text based on Black community of New York, we need to know about Black community in general and the entire American community as well. Otherwise, we can miss out on the cultural context of a particular word or expressions. A very simple example can be of the word Bangalore. If we are not aware of the outsourcing hub of Bangalore in India, we will not be able to explain the word in proper context in translation. The world is most certainly rapidly turning into a global village. But it does not mean that we are becoming one in the sense of culture, religion, or beliefs. It simply means that we are coming closer to each other and may know each other better. In such a scenario, people usually become more conscious of their cultural, racial, and national identities. They try even harder to preserve those differences through which they can assert their identities. As translators, it is our primary task to understand those different nuances not only in different cultures but also in similar ones. Only then we will be translating a text successfully without losing on its essence. 2.3 Translation and intercultural communication. Human beings have a great desire to be with people who are similar to themselves. This is because they have the same ways of doing things, the same values, and operate by similar rules. When we are with people who are similar to ourselves, the way we have of doing things just seem like common sense. However, sometimes work or study or a sense of adventure takes us out of our comfort zone. When this happens, we realize that the things we took for granted about human interaction are not the same for everyone. This can be a very difficult and even shocking experience. That is why the term cultural shock came to be used. In this unit, we shall try to explain how we react, why we do things the way we do them, and how to make interaction between two cultures a positive one and how to translate those cultural differences successfully in our target language. What is culture? We have been discussing the term culture repeatedly because it is essential to try and understand its various nuances. Culture is human creation, human part of environment. It is non-biological part of environment. It is the process of sharing and generating meaning within a social system. Culture is learned from parents, schools, and media. Yet it is ever changing. It must be understood that though culture may be fundamental, it is not innate. It keeps being created and recreated through shared interactions. Culture is made up of shared values and beliefs of a particular people. Therefore, it is not often discussed, analyzed, or critiqued and comes to be known as common sense in a particular group. Consequently, it may be taken for granted by a community to consider their behavior, pattern, and set of beliefs or lifestyle as normal. It is possible for a group of people to believe that the way they behave is right and true for everyone. Cultures have an internal logic and coherence and hence their own validity. However, in order to facilitate communication between cultures, it is necessary to understand communication as socially constructed reality. If we can understand that, we can begin to understand that different people have different way of communicating, different customs, beliefs and set of values. While these may be conflicting with our own way of communicating and beliefs, but it does not mean that the other culture is in any way inferior or wrong. Hence, some essential features of culture are 1. It is human part of the environment. 2. Culture reflects widely accepted assumptions about life. 3. Culture is so fundamental that most people do not discuss or analyze it. 4. Culture becomes evident when someone encounters someone from another country who deviates from their own cultural norms. 5. Culture deviates from generation to generation. 6. Even in new situations, people can make judgment about what is expected in their own culture. 7. Cultural values endure and change takes place over generations. 8. Violations of cultural norms make an emotional impact. 9. It is easy, though not really helpful, to make generalizations about cultural differences. What is intercultural communication? We are living in a global world today. No country or culture can remain anonymous. Technology, market needs, and means of communication have brought us closer, so much so that what happens in one part of the world affects all. As the world is becoming smaller, we are increasingly interacting with people of different cultures. And for interacting with people of different cultures, we need to know their language. Now, language as a systematic set of symbols can be learned easily. But the underlying meanings of those symbols can be learned only when we try and understand the culture ingrained in that culture. Literal translation of words and gestures can at times play havoc with the meanings. Below are given a list of such instances where the literal translation ruined the meaning in target language. In China, KFC's tagline, "Finger-licking good," was translated as "Eat your fingers off." Chevrolet tried unsuccessfully to market its car Nova Compact in Latin America. Because in Spanish, Nova means doesn't go or it doesn't run. In Germany, Berliner is a jelly donut. Once, at Berlin Wall, American President Kennedy declared, "Gut, ich bin ein Berliner," which meant that he is a jelly donut, while what he wanted to say was that he belongs to Berlin. In Australia, President Bush flashed a backhanded peace sign in motorcade. Most Australians consider this gesture as obscene. Coca-Cola wanted a Chinese phonetic equivalent of Coca-Cola, so it chose K. Coquella, which means bite the wax tadpole or female horse stuffed with wax, depending on the dialect. These language and cultural mistakes can be easily avoided if we increase our understanding of other people and their culture. The study of intercultural communication addresses this need by examining the communication and interaction between two cultures or subcultures. Fundamental to intercultural communication is the belief that it is through culture that people communicate with each other. An Indian, American, or a Chinese learns to communicate as an Indian, American, or a Chinese. Their behavior conveys a meaning because it is learned and shared. It is cultural, in other words. Therefore, the way people behave, interact, their language, their lifestyle, and nonverbal behavior are all determined by culture. Since cultures differ, The communication patterns and behavior also inevitably vary due to the difference in perception of the world. Intercultural communication, thus, is communication between people whose cultural perceptions and symbol systems are distinct enough to alter their communication, samovar and Porter. Meaning of a message change when it is encoded by a person of one culture and decoded by a person of another culture in the context of his own socio-cultural background. In some cases, meaning of the message could be interpreted in entirely a different way than expected. Cultural differences stem from our different perceptions, which in turn determines how we communicate with the people of other cultures. By understanding how people perceive the world, their values and beliefs, we can better understand what they say and anticipate potential cross-cultural misunderstandings. Now arises the need to look more closely at what we mean by perception, beliefs and values. Perception. Perception is defined as internal process by which we select, organize and interpret information from the outside world. Klopp and Park. We can say that our perceptions of the world are what we tend to notice, reflect upon and respond to in our environment that are meaningful and significant to us. As a result, no two of us perceive our surroundings in exactly the same way. This is especially the case when we interact with a person with an entirely different cultural background than us. The way in which each one of us perceives the world is learned and is part of our cultural experience. Whether it is the judgment we make of a particular food or of a party, or the way we interact during a meeting, we all react to these events in different ways that our cultures have taught us. Our perceptions are culturally determined and they in turn influence the way we communicate with others. Beliefs. Beliefs are the judgments we make about what is true or probable. They are generally related to objects or events that possess certain characteristics that we believe to be true with or without proof. For example, we have beliefs about religion. There is God. God can be worshipped in form of idols, or God is omnipresent without a shape. About events, that the meeting was successful. About others, he is a very down-to-earth person. And about ourselves, I am very hardworking, friendly or professional. According to Price, most of our beliefs are about how things work, why things are the way they are and where things come from. Most of our beliefs are related to providing with an explanation of the things or events that are otherwise inexplicable and unpredictable, such as weather, death, birth or romance. Our beliefs are also determined by our cultural experience and heritage. We are taught very early in life what to believe in based on what do culture consider worthy and true. Hence our belief systems form the basis of our values, and our values broadly determine how we behave and relate to others. Values. Values are defined as a set of enduring beliefs that serve to guide or direct our behavior. They represent the norms of a culture and specify what is good or bad, right or wrong, appropriate or inappropriate. We can say that values provide us with a set of rules for behaving, making choices, and reducing uncertainty. Like our perceptions and beliefs, values are also learned and so they are open to interpretation. When we interpret a certain behavior, an object or an event, we are in fact applying our value judgment, which in turn reflects our culture. For example, an Indian woman may not like shaking hands with a European, though it is a part of Western culture to shake hands. An English person who usually prefers to have their private space may not like a Mexican standing too close. The relative importance of values within each culture are reflected through the popular sayings of that culture, such as zebra does not despise its stripes, African, or time is money, American, or no need to know the person, know the family, Chinese. Such sayings not only reflect values of a culture but also provide us with a better understanding of that specific culture. One of the major drawbacks of any discussion on intercultural communication is that it may tend to generalize about cultures. Impressions like Asian students are disciplined or American students are tough to handle or Europeans are very fussy can be easily drawn by personal experiences, but they are often not true. Oversimplification or generalization cannot be the aim of any intercultural study. Because the idea of Asians or Americans or Europeans is a very vague one. Asia contains so many countries, each with a distinct culture. America again is a multicultural society. Europe also has many countries, each with a different culture. When thinking of communication between cultures, it is more useful and accurate to think of them as dynamic and interconnected than static and entirely separate entity. But it is also important to consider that for particular characteristics, while individuals in each culture will be found across the spectrum, in any one culture, people will be clustered around a certain point. Although people are clustered around one point, there may also be an area of overlap where they may share some similarities. 2.3.1 Barriers to intercultural communication and translation. When people of two different cultures interact, there are certain opinions, presumptions, or blocks which may hamper the communication. Following are some of them. Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is the belief in the centrality of one's own culture. It often involves judging aspects of another culture by the standards of one's own. Bennett defines ethnocentrism as assuming that the worldview of one's own culture is central to all reality. Now it is quite natural to have the values of the community in which we have been brought up. These are the ways in which we live and interact with others. Those are the things we believe in and take them for granted. But it is not bad or inferior to have values of another society. What is important is to understand that our way of doing things may be different from others with whom we are interacting. But unfortunately, we may tend to be focused more on the centrality of our own culture, which may hamper our understanding of another culture. Bennett presented a model demonstrating the various stages of ethnocentrism. The first stage is that of denial. When we come face to face with another culture, we tend to deny that any difference in culture of communication between the two exists. The second stage is that of defense. This stage occurs as a way to counter the impact of cultural differences which are perceived as threatening. A person does it as a way to maintain the integrity of his own worldview. The Nazis are the extreme example of this kind of defense. But plenty of other such examples can be cited. Superiority is another form of defense. It is a positive evaluation of one's own culture which does not necessarily involve denigrating others. The third form of defense is reversal. It is denigration of one's own culture and assertion of the superiority of the other. Minimization is the third stage of ethnocentrism. In this, people seek to hide their differences in the similarities of their cultures. Part of minimization is an assumption of universal characteristics shared by all humanity. However, this assumption is made by the dominant culture. The idea of universal truths is also based on one's own values. Stereotypes. Stereotypes are also one of the obvious barriers to intercultural communication. Samovar and Porter define stereotypes as perceptions or beliefs we hold about groups or individuals based on our previously formed opinions or attitudes. Stereotypes do not develop suddenly but are formed over a period of time by our culture. They are made up of bits and pieces of information that we store and use to make sense of what is going on around us. Stereotypes can be either positive or negative, and they help us to understand or interpret the world by categorizing or classifying people or events we encounter. Often stereotypes are problematic because they are oversimplified, generalized, or exaggerated. Views. Statements such as Americans are, or athletes are not, or women should, are stereotypes because their content are beliefs based on half-based truths or distortions about a group of people. Prejudice. Prejudice can also be either positive or negative, although it is generally referred to as unfair, biased, or intolerant attitude or opinion towards another person or group simply because they belong to a specific race, religion, caste, nationality, or another group. For example, if a person thinks, I don't want name of some group or nationality living in my neighborhood is being prejudiced. Prejudice can take many forms ranging from being almost impossible to detect to being extremely blatant and clear. The world opinion towards a particular community after 9th November twin Tower blast is a live example before us of prejudice, and it has hugely affected the intercultural communication all over the world. Language. Language is again one of the most obvious barriers to intercultural communication, but perhaps not the most fundamental. People who do not share a language or do not have a command over another person's language, they may have some difficulties in communicating. There is also a possibility of misunderstanding between people who do not share a common language. However, sharing a common language does not always guarantee understanding. The speakers of the same language may not also get the exact meanings of the words used. Even when cultures use the same language, they do not always understand one another. Finding vocabulary equivalent, idiomatic, experiential, and conceptual equivalence are the major roadblocks faced in intercultural communication. These are confronted with when we are translating one language into another to make the communication between two languages smoother. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is communication without words. This is done through gestures, body movements, eye movements, and facial expressions, proximity, etc. These can be easily misinterpreted if we are not aware of their cultural framework. There are various ways in which the nonverbal communication differs in various cultures. Following are some. A. The distance that one would stand while talking to a stranger differs from culture to culture, and anyone breaking this unspoken rule may make us uncomfortable. B. Gestures and eye contact can have very powerful meanings, but these meanings vary from culture to culture. In some cultures, the way of greeting is a handshake, in others a bow, in some others an embrace, and in yet others folding hands. C. Some cultures view time as cyclical, others view it as linear. Our use of time also varies. D. Silence has different connotations in different cultures. In some cultures, silence can indicate respect, in others, shyness, in yet others, rudeness. Touch has different meaning in different cultures. In Thailand, for example, it is considered rude of a stranger if he touches the top of a child's head because head is considered to be the home of spirit or soul. Whereas, in the West it is quite acceptable as a gesture of expressing affection towards the child. 2.3.2 Translation and Intercultural Communication. Translation is an important tool in intercultural communication. It should be kept in mind that the process of translation does not only require translating words but also demands transferring the sociocultural references. When we are translating a language of another culture into our own language, it becomes imperative to understand that culture very well in order to transfer the exact meaning into our own language. Here, reference to finding the vocabulary, idiomatic, experiential, and conceptual equivalence is required. They are as necessary as finding equivalence to the gestures and body movement in target language. Literal translation can play havoc with the meaning of the original text. Some blunders of literal translation are mentioned below. In Taiwan, Pepsi's slogan, "Come alive with the Pepsi generation," was translated as "Pepsi will bring your ancestors from the dead." On a menu of a Swiss restaurant, "Our wines leave you nothing to hope for." At a Hong Kong dentist, teeth extracted by the latest Methodists. In a Copenhagen airline office, "We take your bags and send them in all directions." In a Bucharest hotel lobby, "The lift is being fixed for the next day. During that time, we regret that you will be unbearable." Besides being well acquainted with the culture and language of the target and source language, there is a need to understand both the languages in their own cultural perspective without being prejudiced, opinionated, and presumptuous. All the barriers in understanding cultures that are mentioned above should be overcome as much as possible. Only then the meaning of a source language text can be captured in the target language. 2.4 Let us sum up. In this unit, we discussed what is culture and communication. Definitions of intracultural communication and intercultural communication were elaborated upon. Some interesting examples were also cited to show that translation without cultural orientation plays havoc with the meaning. Even when translating intracultural texts, one needs to know the sociocultural references of words, phrases, and idioms. Nonverbal communication, values, perception, and beliefs of the target as well as source language should be well understood. Intercultural communication takes place between two different cultures. And if we are not well acquainted with the culture of the person we are interacting with, we may not understand him fully and it may cause miscommunication and misunderstanding. These language and cultural mistakes can be easily avoided if we increase our understanding of other people and their culture. The study of intercultural communication addresses this need by examining the communication and interaction between two cultures or subcultures. Fundamental to intercultural communication is the belief that it is through culture that people communicate with each other. An Indian American or a Chinese learns to communicate as an Indian American or a Chinese. Their behavior conveys a meaning because it is learned and shared. It is cultural, in other words. Therefore, the way people behave, interact, their language, their lifestyle, and nonverbal behavior are all determined by culture. Values, beliefs, perception are some of the important parts of a culture which need to be understood. But there are many barriers which hamper our understanding of these characteristics of a culture. Ethnocentrism, stereotypes, prejudices, language, and nonverbal communication are some of the barriers which should be overcome for understanding a language as well as the culture of that language. When we are translating a language of another culture into our own language, it becomes imperative to understand that culture very well in order to transfer the exact meaning into our own language. Here, reference to finding the vocabulary, idiomatic, experiential, and conceptual equivalence